There's an Atlas, maybe, and a Supernova.
But do you see what I mean?
Back in Echo 7.
Get up to that position early, which you easily can. It forces them to do crossing the open ground, but there wasn't enough of us here when some of us got here. Some people still continue to hold back.
With CryEngine.
So annoying. Dark, no one's done any of the downloading for Mechwarrior 5.
Yeah, I gathered that from what Corsair said.
Are they both missile boats? I'll push them. Well, I'm still pretty fresh.
One's definitely a Lerma and one's something else.
Warning.
I don't know if it's an MRM or what it is.
Main
Could be an
doors
ATM.
opening. Please keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. Stream will begin shortly.
Push.
I got some rewards.
He gave me his back. The Supernova down?
I'd love someone to help Toxic Russian. He's doing such a good job.
My webcam sure looks grainy, sparkly. Not really impressed with this camera. It's okay. It's better than the other, but it doesn't do great in low light. I could turn on the noise reduction, I guess, but that's not going to really be wonderful.
How you guys going?
Hey, Jay-Z.
Good, Joe.
Welcome. You going to drop with us a little bit?
I'm still driving. It might be a bit difficult to log in while doing
Come
that.
today, tries.
Just not 228 material,
Yeah.
Jay. Say words like that.
Yeah, that's like, it sounds like an excuse to me. It's like I can't drive and pilot a mech at the same time.
Well.
That's like I can't play the piano while I'm
mean,
doing other stuff.
can and should.
Yeah, that's true.
Can and should are different
legal.
words.
Yeah.
Is it legal? No.
Yeah.
No, it's not legal, but...
Yeah, it's not legal. I didn't know you guys had roads in Australia, though. That's kind of... Or maybe you don't have a road. Maybe you're just driving
Well,
outback.
we use bunyip tracks to navigate.
What are those? Bunyan?
Bunyip.
Jax, do you hear me?
Bunyip.
Yeah, I did hear.
This is what happens when I play Metal Builds.
That was... Those guys in the direwolves were the ones, like, holding back and complaining because they're saying push forward. Now they're like, yeah, that's what happens when you push. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, 4 killing blows, 817.
Nice.
Great.
Nice work. That's solid.
I felt like Jay
One of the
dying
fun
early there,
things-
but at least I killed some damage. Pushed
Yeah.
everyone out the front.
What if you were talking to us, Jay-Z, we couldn't hear you for a long time. You were really super soft.
Oh, really? No,
That's why we weren't laughing at any
Well,
of your,
one of the
any
things
of your
about-
jokes.
Oh, it's fair. Josh doesn't laugh
I
at
know
me
they
anyway.
were really funny. I just didn't know when to laugh. I didn't want you to get the wrong idea.
Well, the funny thing is about direwolf pilots, there's a few different ones, but I do think some go, I've chosen the direwolf, therefore I'm like, Ilkhan, whatever, so-and-so of the battlefield.
Yeah.
It's like, push militar minions. I have... and it's like, okay. There's nothing wrong with a direwolf being Overwatch. In fact, I think a direwolf is really good for long-range Overwatch, but not at the substitutionary expense of the others.
Dark, so I've got Corsair, Fro, and Kodo.
Okay.
And I noticed Fishy's just come in.
I'll take Fishy.
And looks like Swarmy might be
Dang it,
available.
I was supposed to be stealthy.
You're stuck with me, I guess,
And
Fishy. Sorry
Swimmy.
about that. I saw you there.
You might want to send out. And I have to say, Dark, once again, you seem to be picking on the Australians in this channel,
I was not picking on Jay-Z at all. I was talking about the road system, the infrastructure of the penal colony known as Australia.
So I'm just letting you know, we get bullied in this channel as Australians.
Mate, I don't feel bullied whatsoever. If I felt these guys were a threat, I'd say something.
It might just be one particular person who isn't really an Australian, but he's a Bostonian who has a fake Australian accent.
They think I'm from Boston, Jay. They think my accent's fake. This is just terrible.
Actually,
I think you're from Boston.
Yeah, his accent doesn't sound really authentic to us. It seems like he's just kind of trying to con us a little bit. And so I sent him a video on how to have how to learn an authentic Australian accent, but I don't think he even watched it because it hasn't improved.
Have you seen the series How to Talk Australians? It's a bunch of Indians learning the language.
No,
it's amazing.
Drax should watch that maybe.
All right, we're ready.
I wonder if it works for Bostonians, though.
What are you doing,
I'm waiting
Doc?
for Fishy Ghost to show up in the list over here.
If you send Swarmy an invite, he'll probably join you.
I don't see him as being on.
Oh, did he leave already?
Now, you're talking about people from Boston, not people from the border of Estonia and Bosnia, right?
No. Yeah, Boston, United States.
Pfizer wants me to say the word departed.
Departed? Why is that a...
Hang on, in a Boston accent, it would be deported.
Departed.
Well, I'll tell you how I say it in rural Australian way of saying that word is, go on, walk about, mate.
Yeah.
Come on, walk about.
Depathed.
That's great. Fishy taught me hoobly-doo, which I think is a great word.
It's not strictly...
It doesn't matter, Drax. Don't get in the way of what I think is a great word and what Fishy imparted to me. That I then told to my daughter and my wife, and they think it's a great word. So from now on, it's pretty much a done deal.
Drax, don't gatekeep Dark Marauder from cultural appropriation. Let him do his thing.
That's right.
Yeah, white Americans, that's what they do.
Yeah.
The whole west coast of the United States is going to be saying hoobly-doo, and the rest of us are going to be going, what?
All words from all cultures are mine. It just
Americans can do their own cultural appropriation.
Hey, you know when it's got traction, Jay? When you see it in a blockbuster movie, an American Hollywood blockbuster movie.
Yeah, it'll be like Jackie Chan will say, hoobly-doo.
Hoobly-doo. Hoobly-doo.
I have a question. We have 3 Australians in the channel right now, right?
Yeah.
Do any of you guys watch Mighty Car Guys?
Oh, Mighty Car Moogs. Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen them for ages. They're not still running, are they?
They're still going?
I believe so, yes. I believe they are.
Fishy, are you coming in?
I love watching those guys.
Yeah, I'm loading, dog.
Okay, it's just been like a while.
Oh, they are. I used to watch them like for 2 years straight incessantly. I love them. I thought they took a break or something.
I love when they hacked the dash out of a Subaru Liberty and put an entire iPad in there. And then like took out the adjustment on the passenger seat so they could fit this giant 1000-watt amp. It's like, you guys are absolute muppets, but I love you.
Right.
All right.
Just to have a better stereo system.
Fishy, how far are you from getting in the game, buddy? Fishy?
He has defended himself.
Well, okay.
All right, well,
I'll leave the group and I'll sync with you.
No. Doug, you take my spot because
No,
I've got
this is
dinner
good.
shortly anyway.
This is good.
No,
Go
I've got
for it.
dinner shortly anyway.
That's okay. Go for it.
Anyway.
Let's go. Try to sync. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, launch.
But this will be my last one before dinner.
That's all right. Hey, Phase Zero. I had a fever last night till about 4:30 in the morning. I'm pretty sure it's from my COVID and my flu vaccines, updates and vaccines. But I've just been kind of wimpy all day, but it's not getting worse. I'm pretty sure, or at least I'm feeling confident that I don't have COVID. My Claire is downstairs in their room with COVID, so we have COVID in the house. We know for sure, but we're trying not to get it. Fishy, I bumped out of the group and dropped with these guys because I'm trying to sync with them because you weren't talking and we didn't know how long you were going to be still.
Okay, cool.
Wow, took it on the chin. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, nice work there. Have you guys found anything yet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got a game.
got the game.
Oh,
Don't
I just
worry,
dropped
I'm just
into
crying
something.
on the inside.
Crying on the inside. Well, to make up for that and to kind of balance things out, Fishy, I'm being really, sensitive to how you feel, but I'm laughing on the inside.
See,
That's
more
you know what, that's
examples of
cool.
bullying Australians.
No, I just want Fishy to know that I'm keeping a good attitude, even though, it might be, it might be.
You're being duplicitous
That
against a
was,
child.
Jack.
that was insensitive, Doc.
Yeah, it was insensitive.
You're right. I take
Jax,
it back.
mate, you gotta think about it. If they're laughing at us, that means that they're happy, and we have provided them entertainment.
Yeah.
So we have done a good deed.
Yeah,
and
you've
so
done a
we
good
need to
deed.
feel good about ourselves. So we've done a good deed for these poor
Damn, I'm
Americans. They have to
getting
live in
paid for it, by the
America.
way.
We don't have
They
much
have
to
to
be
wake
happy
up in
about.
America and
Yeah.
go to sleep in America. Like, think about it. How?
Yeah.
Oh, no
look,
wars. Yeah, good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't-
We live in a first world country,
Price of oil drops.
and they live in America. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Cost of living goes down.
It's interesting. I went to get a sandwich today, and they've said that inflation has been like 10% over the last year, and it's really been more than that, and that prices are going to go up. And they say that you would think prices would go up 10%, right? So the cost of a sub sandwich from 2 years ago
Let's fuck them up.
is $5 more. It used to be $7. Now it's $13.
Howdy, team.
Yeah.
Wow, where
I mean,
are you
the-
getting your subs?
It's
Where do
ridiculous.
you
You
get
get
that
like
from?
deluxe meat, which is just a little extra meat, not even double meat, and a foot long sub for a turkey sub. It's $13 by the time you pay for it.
I've never enjoyed
crazy.
subs, hey. I can't. I tried that outlet a few times when it first came to Australia, and I could never get into it.
Subway, the brand, the chain, or just sub
Yeah.
sandwiches in general?
Subway.
Oh,
brand.
yeah. Sometimes some of them are pretty good. We have a place here in town that is on a pot theme. It's called, what's it called? Chiba Hut. And all their sandwiches are named after different kinds of pot joints. Oh boy, that's original. Somebody was really high when they thought of it. We'll just make sandwiches based on pot, man. Oh, man. But they have a fantastic sandwich that's called the White Widow. It has turkey strips, so it's real meat. And it's just really, really good. But I didn't want to drive that far because I didn't feel very good, and it's probably about the same price. So I was tempted to get it. Sub, you got to be in the mood for a sub sandwich. I agree. They used to be like much better than anything else out there. Now they're like one of the options, and there are better options.
If for me, it's I have a lot of bread, and so if there was like a Turkish bread option or a focaccia or even like a flatbread,
they do have some of those.
I like that a lot more. Yeah, because really like you're eating an entire basically mini loaf of bread.
Yeah, but it's soft, so it squishes down. So it's not like some of the sandwiches that are really dense, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I did eat an entire loaf of bread. And if you put your ratio of vegetables and meat and condiments and stuff, and get a half sandwich, then it's just much better that way.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to sell, Subways. That was telling you that's what I got. And a lot more. Like everything seems like it's 30 to 50% more now. And it's just been a year and a half.
If they try to flank us.
Well, the Australian dollar's gone up a lot too, relative to the US. So it's kind of good for imports, but it's also it's kind of weird. I have to look into it. It's even the last week or so on the tracks if you've noticed it.
Does that mean you'll be able to buy America soon?
Please.
Well,
I love America. I'm just giving my country.
I mean, we could probably buy a healthcare system.
Please.
That would be I don't think you could afford it. We certainly can't. So I don't know how you'd be able to.
No. Oh no. I mean, I'm sure. Like train wrecks come cheap, right? Like a shiny, nice train, fine. Train wreck, the cheaper.
Yeah, our healthcare system, and our educational system have gotten ridiculously expensive over the last 30, 40 years. And I don't know how anybody can afford to get a college education. Or, you can get it if you get, like our kids went free because they had great grades. And were straight A students, and so they got scholarships because they were talented in different areas and had great grades, and our income level was low enough that they qualified. But a lot of kids can't do that.
Up H7, H8.
Well, this is no joke, but the last, whatever it is, how many years I've been playing Mechwarrior and being involved in the community, so 8, 9, close to 10 years. I've actually had multiple Americans asking me, and a couple of Europeans, but what's like living in Australia and then considering moving.
Doing a hard push now.
Not saying everyone has to do it, just saying all means that people have asked the questions. I gotta be honest with you,
Watch out about that.
I'm really thankful to be in Australia. Like I'm not trying to be nationalistic pride. I'm actually more like I actually legit think it's a really good place to be.
Well, I'll tell you this though, as bad as people say America is, it's fantastic. I mean, I've been in many countries in Europe, and some of them are great, some of them are not, but America is a great place to live. There's just, it doesn't sound like it because all the media focuses on all the conflict and all the, the back and forth political divides.
It just sounds
and
dangerous.
Stuff. It's not. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sure in some big cities if you're living in an inner city or things, but I don't think of it as being dangerous here. Certainly things have changed with time. Like we used to never lock our house when I grew up, and we do lock our house now when we're home because we actually had a person come into our home that was totally high on hash, and I had to call the police, and he was tripping out.
Behind you guys as well.
Ignore the friendly. That was just me shooting past you. But generally speaking, it's a pretty safe place, and we're 170,000 people. We have a lot of homeless people now, though, so our city has kind of opened the doors to homeless people and made it a good place to go. And a lot of cities all over the Northwest have put them on buses and sent them here. So we have a lot more homeless people than the size of our city can really support.
They're trying
and that's
to
not good.
If you get caught
I want to help people, but we're like overwhelmed. And so our downtown at night and even during the day, a lot of people don't even want to go there because it's just they're getting accosted by mentally ill or panhandlers or whatever. So it's not that's not good. But generally speaking, it's a good environment and a good city and a great place to live.
That blood ass is nearly cored.
And you can always go to some of the more inland cities like Boise, which is much safer and more sedate, and it's still pretty good size.
I'm from Idaho.
Pull something into our ass, that's bad.
A lot of people are moving to places
I'm just saying,
like that.
pull back. Like we're trying to force these little peak
I'm doing
fights
terrible
and we're
in this
losing
thing.
real fast.
Yeah, guys are bracketed out. Lock bar time, it's game over.
Target
He's too far away. I'm too far away. I'm just not used to this close-up craziness.
Oh, fuck, man.
Flechette, I've kind of
Phoenix, sorry,
had it with
bro.
you, buddy.
Just as you fucking ran in front of me, man.
I'm going to drop down.
You're muted. You've been muted. Oh, there's a king crab right here. He's killing me because I'm muting Flechette. Well, this isn't going to last long. Well, there was that.
Oh, the spin around drop shot and landed it.
Ooh, fancy.
Did you 360 no-scope something in a mech?
What's that?
Sounding like someone's 360 no-scopes.
I did.
New target acquired.
I dropped off the top, was turning around,
Target acquired.
was turning around and falling down and landed my shot on the way down.
Incoming missile.
I'm a little impressed with myself
I'm in
right
this
now.
new build, and it's a brawly kind of build, and I'm trying to use it as a mid-range mech. I'm not even hurting people, and it's not skilled up yet. And then I'm not skilled, so it's.
What are you running?
It's a Crusader with
Just
2 PPCs and a Ultra 10, I think, or something like that.
Critical damage.
Oh, sounds a bit sad.
Well, I thought, well, maybe I could make it work, but I'm not good enough to make it work. I saw a guy last night do 1,000 damage and 5 kills with it because he was in a nice tight brawl, and he waited till everybody was hurt, then he went in and cleaned them up, right? But for me to wait that long in a match, that's a tough sell. I'm just Mr. Get in there and die.
Have you seen me?
No.
All right, I've got to go.
I've never watched.
I'm definitely.
See you later,
Good night, Drax.
Hey, Drax.
Say that again, Jay-Z.
No, I'll be on
Ow.
I'm definitely the epitome of patience.
Oh, really? You just kind of wait for the good opportunities to take them then?
No, man. I plant the W as soon as I land. I go blow stuff
okay.
up.
He's scouts and a stalker.
I do. Actually, I put up a video of scouting. I'm a stalker scouting. I don't know if you want to see it or not.
Post it.
Dark, I'm going to send you the invite again,
Okay.
and then drop group.
Well, I'll probably stay out so I can get fishy in.
All right, it's up to you. All right,
Thank
see
you.
ya.
Good night.
Good night. Night, Jay.
Yeah, post it in
Drax.
Ghostland Spec Ops right above us.
Cool.
Oh, did anyone see the screenshot I posted earlier today? Me and my brother were grouped up, and we just absolutely decimated this enemy team. It was ridiculous.
I did not. I haven't looked at anything yet. I just kind of got in here and. Well, I got one more node here. That's nice. We'll apply that change. The more I run these other mechs, the worse my PSR rating goes down. All right. Fishy, are you back? Okay. I'll take that invite then, I guess.
Yeah, he's deepened again.
Yep. My death. I saved your ears, 5-0. I don't know. I'm glad I did that.
15 over.
You have the crown, Dark.
Okay, here we go. Oh, I can't launch though. We're overtime.
We are 15 over. You want me to go down? I can go down.
I'll get worse the lower I go.
Oh, let's see. I'm in a 60. Ooh, I'm gonna
I
have
just
to
went down
really...
a little bit.
We're good. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, launch.
Okay.
Fishy, fishy.
Ooh, that's a good mix.
Let's see. It's time
I
to
like the
run my
dervish.
little Halloween scary animation. Here we go.
There you go. That's how to scout. That's scouting video.
Horrific action. Okay, I'll check it out. Probably tomorrow.
It's all about infotech and the importance of relaying valuable information to the teammates.
Like I just killed somebody else.
You know what you're just talking about.
Oh. Maybe I do have COVID and it's just, I've got a little cough now. It's not much. I've had a cough for like 2 months. I don't really know what the deal is. I got bronchitis a couple of years ago and I had it for a year before I finally went to the doctor and got some antibiotics for it. Because it was enough to be a bother, but not enough to make me, stop and do something about it. This is starting to feel a little bit like that. Gosh, we're not getting group drops here. We're in that time, aren't we? It's already midnight. Starting this late's really tough. I think our time zone, daylight savings time thing switches next month, maybe? Let me check that.
See, Australia just did it not long ago, like a few weeks ago. So it's kind of annoying how it's not like everyone swaps
at the same time. Yeah.
It's kind of like different time zones come on and off at different times, and it's all a bit of a mess.
November 6th for us.
Thankfully, my state doesn't have daylight savings, so that's great.
Well, do you guys have it for the same reason we have it, which was for agricultural purposes?
Well, it depends. It depends on where in Australia you ask that question, because it's for agricultural purposes in my state and area that we don't want it. Well, just general sanity, honestly. In my area of the country, data centers makes no sense. Everyone who's forward in my area basically is like, just leave. move further south where it actually would matter more. Because we're so far north, we're far closer to the equator than the rest of the country. In fact, probably, I don't know, 90% of the country's population would be about on the halfway. Like if you look at a map of Australia and you draw a halfway line, or a line just above Brisbane, basically, it's pretty much about halfway up, and go down. 90% of Australia lives south of that. So I'm in the northern part. I'm in the regional northern rural area-ish. And so we don't want daylight savings because it stuffs all of our things and just makes everything cooked.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on where you are, because it matters. The more closer you are to the poles, the more the time zones swing throughout the year.
And how hot is it in the summer for where you're at, near the top of Australia?
Right now it's 32 degrees, and it is after 5 p.m. in the afternoon.
You're coming up on your spring, right?
It's spring now, yeah. We're not even in summer yet, and summer gets even hotter. So
32 Celsius?
Yeah, no.
What's hot. 32 Celsius in Fahrenheit?
Yeah, 32 Celsius. Oh, no.
No one knows.
80s? High 80s, maybe 90? I don't know. It's probably 34 today, actually.
Yeah, 89. It's almost 90 degrees. 89.6.
Yeah.
Wow. It's going to get nasty later on.
Well, the other thing is, it hits that temperature at like 8 a.m.
Oh, seriously? Wow.
Yeah, and stays like that until like 6 p.m. if not later. In fact, I've had it quite commonly to be 29, 30 degrees Celsius, so let's say mid 80s Fahrenheit, at like 10 p.m. Like our minimum temperatures can still be like 25.
You guys do what a lot of Latin American
overnight
countries do, where they take a siesta in the afternoon and then they kind of show up after 6 or 7 and stay up till 1 in the morning, and then they get up in the morning again and take a 2 or 3 hour siesta in the afternoon again, do it all over.
Uni students do that. I mean, even I was a uni student did that. A lot of uni students do that. But if you work a full-time 9 to 5, then no workplace is going to let you do that.
And
so
in
if
Italy,
you don't,
they just
if you don't
shut
have
down. The businesses shutter up, and
they do.
Most of them, yeah. You just.
It's a good idea.
Sometimes the restaurants will stay open, so you can like find a cool restaurant and eat or something like that. But
the problem is that in Australia, you're so spread out. Is that your place of work to your place of residence can be far longer than most of the country. So we're talking a half an hour to an hour being average.
Why can't you just live closer to the city where you work, or in the city?
Because we're not rich. So
is it really expensive
to live in the city? Like ridiculous. So here's the thing: if you don't live in a capital city, you need to make like over 100 grand just to rent. If your own place, you basically need to be dual income, no kids, but professionals, or inherit.
Wow.
Yeah, the housing cost per wage is extremely high in the cities.
Why is that
in Australia? Supply and demand. Demand's grown, exponentially, because there's good jobs, good opportunities, and everything, and they're in cities. I'm in a regional area, and I love being in a regional area because I own a house now, and I'm 30.
Right.
So I own a house by 30, which is a rarity.
Yeah. Do you have any? Have you purchased any duplexes or rental properties or anything like that?
I have. I did at 25. I started, Sweet. But I mean, I'm definitely an outlier on that, and part of that was
that's true here too. People,
I rented,
don't do it, but they should.
25%.
Well, how I did it was I rented cheaper than my tenants, so I was only paying $100 a week in rent because I was staying with family, and then I got share a place with other family, and like obviously paid rent, I paid utilities, but in cheaper places than my tenants were staying. And the way Australia taxation works is you can claim all expenses on a investment property as tax deductible, but not your place of residence.
Did they go across the saddle?
They must have. They're not here. You guys, did they go across saddle? Oh yeah, they're on our base.
Well, they decided.
You're on your base killing your dudes?
Yeah, they're. We need to go around the back. I need to come back and help. We got to go back and help the rest of our guys. We've been hornswoggled.
Alright, well, let's run through saddle and pincer them.
It's faster for me to go the other way, so I'm going to do that. I thought about your plan. It's a good plan.
Fuel at 25%. Fuel at 0%.
Come on, little mech, you can get there.
We're experiencing some losses. Don't get sloppy out there.
Incoming missile.
Moving in. I'm coming past you. Passing. Thank you. He still shot me, but at least he knew he was shooting me.
Warning, incoming missile.
There's a bunch from in Delta 7.
Target acquired.
Yeah, a little catapult. You're not liking that so much, are you? Guys, push in on him. Now's the time, or never. Ouch.
Left arm critical damage.
25% of the enemies are eliminated.
Ha, I got him. Ha ha ha.
Good job.
Where's somebody else I can... Oh, right there.
New target acquired.
Where'd you go, Shadowhawk?
Maybe up.
There you are.
Target
Got two.
destroyed.
Or I
job,
did
Dart.
get him. What do you know?
The enemies are half depleted. Keep pushing.
Yeah, he's behind a rock. But I shot the rock really well. I probably missed him.
Commando on me.
Almost got him.
I missed him. Shoot.
We've almost got them all. Clean up the survivors. We've lost half.
They took my torso and I overheated.
Warning, incoming missile. Right arm critical damage.
It's 9-3.
Target acquired.
We should have
Pretty early in the
this.
morning?
Critical
Oh,
damage.
right.
Right arm destroyed. Right torso critical damage. PPC destroyed. LB tank destroyed.
Come on.
New target acquired.
Can't get to him in time. Nope. She's got one snub nose
My
left.
back, stalker.
Oh, this dude needs to unlock his arms.
Oh, you got me. That rock will think twice before it tangles with me. That's right. Well, I did 394 and 2 kills. That's not bad for me. Terrible. Nap time's the best. I took a nap this afternoon for a little bit. I just laid down on the floor.
Goss to the chest. Just lay down quick.
383 people playing. Okay.
If I was allowed to take a nap at work, I probably would, to be honest.
It would help productivity. You know what? Jennifer's reading.
Kodo.
I would.
She's reading a book on sleep, and she says there's some really interesting research on pretty much every page of every chapter, but she can't remember it all because she's so sleep deprived. But one of the things she was telling me about was that they have done studies where if they have people study something and then wait a few hours and take a test, or wait a couple days and take a test, they don't remember it very well. But if they study something and then take a nap, then they can take a test then or a few days later and do very well on the test. So the fact that you learn something and then sleep and let your brain shuffle through that helps it retain it. It's kind of really was interesting, which is the opposite of how we do testing at universities and stuff, of course.
Well, this is the thing is, from again, I'm not medical based like my wife is, but from what I understand is, like when you sleep, that's almost like your brain doing a defrag and going through and doing all the, I guess building neurons, processing things, like all that stuff is kind of in the offline time.
Assuming it's possible to defrag my brain, that's what it would be doing.
Yeah, I mean, some people need to be refragged probably, but that's their own problem. But for the most part, this is really
Fishy. You're back.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm
I'm gonna have to go soon anyway. I'll just let him have my
Are you sure,
spot.
Fro?
You don't have to.
No, it's good. I need to go to bed.
I can also go out and grab him, and we'd have 3 and 2.
No, it's good.
Yeah, Fro's a reasonable old man.
Thanks, Kodo.
Wow, Kodo.
No, I've actually been playing for quite a while, so I need to go to bed.
Come on over, Fishy.
Okay, good night.
He's gonna go to bed and learn all the lessons.
He's gonna remember all
go
this
sleep
stuff now.
and then and tomorrow he's just gonna go and kill everyone.
I feel like that's an unfair move, Fro. I feel like you're cheating now.
Good night.
Because I gave you the secret to memory retention.
Well, I'll tell you some secret here. Everyone in the 2 spite has slept once.
They have. Are you sure?
So we're hacking, even offline. Like that's just a level of toxicity that we have. Even
I had a friend.
I heard Drax sleep 7 times a week.
I know he's kind of lazy.
No, he's an absolute hacker.
I used to work with a guy who had 8 degrees in physics, and like one was in lasers, and one was in optics, and one was in integrated circuit, like electrical engineering.
I should chat to this guy.
Beg your pardon? Well, you can't because he's
I should chat to him.
He's dead now. But go ahead, Mike. Maybe.
Oh, that's sad.
He used to code. Well, when I met him, he was a consultant. I'll go ahead and drop this. He was a consultant for lots of different big companies like Microsoft. He would consult on their kernel security layer, which is the bottom end of the operating system, and he would go up and he would sit down. He'd get paid to go up and this is after I'd known him for a while. He'd go up to Microsoft and he'd sit in a room with 20 programmers who were all hotshot genius programmers, and he grew up hand coding assembler and reading machine code, right? So he can read ones and zeros. And he says it gets pretty dicey when you get into 32-bit ones and zeros. but he can still track that. And he's got a friend that writes in 64-bit machine code. And he says, the lower you get to the machine, the higher the pay and the fewer people that can do it. But anyway, he's up there to have a little powwow with all of the Windows OS developers. And he's got the lead team in the room. And the managers hired him to come up. And he sent them 20 questions before he came as their homework. And he got in the room with them and he went to the first question. He said, okay, so here's this particular security scenario that you're going to have to protect against. How are you going to handle that? And some smart kid will open up and say, well, do this, 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 and this. And then Fred would look at him and he'd say, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You still have left this open, this open, this open, and it opens up 3 other problems. And then he would and everybody kind of like get serious and he'd say, okay, well, what about this next problem? And somebody would say, well, we do this and this and this. He said, that's really dumb because now you've opened up this layer and you've opened up these, access points, and you might as well just give them all of your keys to all your back-end operating system. And he just goes through all of them and just rips them new ones, right? And they're totally demoralized. And he leaves and goes out in the hallway, and the manager comes out and he says, thanks, that's exactly what we needed. So he's just there to, kick them till they realize they don't know everything. Anyway, when I first...
Sounds like lobbies.
Like what? Like lobbies.
Sounds like private lobbies.
Yeah, exactly.
Lobbies.
So when I first met him, I bought the house I'm living in now from him. And the cottage that we rent on Airbnb used to be a shed that he would design CPUs in. And he had a drafting table, and he had power, and he had a big area that was 20 by 16, 20 by 20 almost. And he had a sheet of paper on his drafting table, and he had one of the old mechanical drafting arms. And he would sit and look at this piece of paper for 48 hours straight without sleeping, and then he would draw for 24 hours straight without sleeping, and then he'd be done. And then he'd hand this piece of paper to AT&T, and he had designed their Belmac chip, which is a 32-bit chip that could be parallel processed with 32 other 32-bit of themselves chips on a single motherboard. So it was one of the first parallel processing computer designs that AT&T came out with. And he did it in his head before he drew a single thing. He's that kind of brain, right? And he told me once, he made me take an IQ test. And he had some students up at the data center at Microsoft that he was mentoring, and they had all taken it. He said, just go ahead and take it. We've all taken it. And I said, okay, fine. And I didn't really want to because I know I'm not that bright. And I did okay on it. And I couldn't do that well now, I'm sure. And I told him what the score was, and he said, yeah, that's what we all figured. I said, what? He said, yeah, we had you all pegged there. Okay, great. What did you score? He said, I'd rather not say. I said, well, why not? He says, because then I'd have to live up to it. So I scored a 135, which is certainly respectable.
Nice.
And I could probably score about 35 now, I'm thinking, but I was younger. And I have no idea where he would score. He is just a monster he would code what 8 programmers could do. He could do in the same amount of time with less mistakes and better and deeper and righter, right? And he could design hardware, and he understood all the layers in between all that and the way to make them work better and more efficient and all that kind of stuff. So, and whether it was laser optics for spectrophysics that did all of the barcode scanners in all the checkout stands across America, or whether it was communication network protocol devices to extend, like, remember RS-232? It's an old serial connection.
Yeah.
He made...
I've sold those.
Okay, yeah, before. He made RS-232 extenders that could go 20 miles. And he would sell them to like Indian reservations and things like that. And he would...
Were they fiber optic line drivers, or how? How did you get that
remember. There weren't fiber optics really available then. I think they did it over wire. I don't know. He was just a smart dude.
Like a swirl line? Like a swirl line, maybe?
I don't know. You're past my ability to know. But I asked him, I said, and he gets frustrated with dumb people, right? We were talking about that one time. We worked on the phone all the time. He did all the programming and the servers and the coding, and we did website development, and I did all the customer service and support and design of the visual interfaces and stuff like that. And he would write the modules underneath it. And the modules he was writing, he was also part of a group of about 20 other super programmers, and they would all code their modules together so they could have multiple layers deep of things they were making, right? That would all work together. And some of them were doing content management systems, and some were doing e-commerce systems, and so it all kind of worked together. So anyway, I asked him, so well, what do you just get, frustrated, or what is it? Actually, I just can't stand. I have to not interact with them. I have to bow out, or I just get mad at them, and I don't want to. It just drives me crazy sometimes. And I said, well, why do you sit here and talk to me? Because I'm not the smartest bulb on the tree. He said, actually, you're about as low as I could go. So it's kind of a backhanded compliment, right?
There's a bit of extra, forearm in that one, I think. But
I'm sorry I hit you in the back. I was trying to hit him.
Warning, incoming missile.
You didn't need that back armor anyway.
Destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, don't have 8. I've only got 2. We've only got mechanical engineering and physics on my 2.
He had 8 degrees. They were all hard sciences, and it's just crazy. He would take all the Microsoft tests before they would come out for all their products, and then he would tell them what was wrong so they could fix them.
Hey, Doug.
Target acquired.
Yes, Fishy?
Target spotted.
Well, I'm now going up a grade. So I get to choose 2 extra subjects, and one of them's I can only do it if I pick it this year, because no other year levels get to do it. One of them's esports, which is building computers, designing digital software, and streaming and gaming.
Cool.
Wow, that sounds fun.
That sounds like I might.
You know what else would be fun is robotics.
I did that too. That's really fun.
Good kill.
But I also want to do something that's like a little bit to my accounting. So instead of it all being fun.
Acquired.
Target spotted.
He got me. He got me.
That was you, Doug?
That was me. I died. Did 440 damage though in a mech I'm not at all familiar with, so I'm getting a little better in it.
Got him.
Target acquired.
Hey, Valen. Oh, he only slept 2 hours a night also. That was his normal sleep pattern. Sometimes he would catnap, like we'd be on the phone on headsets, and I would hear him start to snore for like 15 minutes, and I'd just keep working. I was like doing HTML coding or something like that, and I would just keep working, and then he would wake up, and then he'd be good for another day.
Did the men in black suits ever pick him up or anything?
Well, he wouldn't remember, right, if they did, so I'm not really sure.
He got neuralized.
Yeah, he was neuralized. Yeah, he was a super nice guy, really big heart, but crotchety. So, like, he wanted to help people. He liked to help people, and he was. I asked him. I think the whole conversation about, why do you bother with me, is I asked him who his other friends were one day, and he said, I don't really have any other friends. And I said, why not? And I could always kind of, even when he was a jerk, I could kind of see through that and stuff, and just made allowances for him, even though he was pretty much a jerk sometimes. He said, I drive them all the way, which is really sad because I don't. But yet he's the kind of guy that he had a friend that he had from a long time ago that was dying of cancer over on the coast, and he would drive 2 hours every weekend to just be with him and help him take care of stuff because he was on his last 6 months of life.
Oops. Oopsies.
He designed a facial recognition system for his nephew who wanted to start a business doing that kind of thing. And so Fred designed the software and the hardware. They used a 56, I'm thinking maybe 156 or 128 megabyte sensor with a fisheye type lens on it. And then he would run pattern algorithms through the scenes that it would capture. And they put them in casinos. And to do a test, there was a political thing
Doc, I got 3
coming
kills.
here. You got 3 kills, Fishy? Nice. Nice work.
I only got 350 damage, and I also accidentally overheated
Kodo
myself.
got 2 kills also, and 631, and Corsair got 354, obliterating his ping.
Hi, Red Cole.
So anyway, he made this thing, and before they were installing it, they needed to do some testing. And so he had somehow the FBI was interested. He'd been doing some consulting with them for cyber crime, tracking people down, hackers and stuff. He didn't really call hacking when he did it. Like I asked it, he did the state of Oregon security system for all their web and online services. And anyway, he would we'd have somebody who would say, well, our system's already secure. We don't need that. And then he would say, well, I could just arrange a demonstration at whatever time they want where I can take over all their computers and show them that their system's not secure. I can see everything right now. And I'd say, it's probably not a good idea. He says, yeah, I know it's probably not a good idea. And then he was he was consulting with the FBI on some cyber criminal thing, tracking down a hacker. And I said, well, so what do you, how long does it take you to get into a system? Because he told me when he was a kid, this is a long story, right? He told me when he was a kid, like a teenager. Well, I got to back up. He met his wife at a science fair. He was in high school. He went to the science fair. She was there. She was into biology. She'd done some cool biology experiment, and she was sure she was going to win the science fair because she'd done something that had never been done before, and it was a cool thing. I have no idea what it was. And people were gathered around her booth, all excited, all the judges and everything. And from across the gymnasium, that you could hear this zip pop, zip pop, zip pop. And it's like, well, what's going on? Everybody turns around, they start walking over, and they gather around his booth, and he's popping balloons with a homemade laser that's using a different kind of gas that they didn't think you could make lasers out of. And this is back when lasers were just being made. He took his laser classes from the guy at MIT who invented lasers. So it's, it's kind of, I saw a picture of him cutting his hair off with a laser that he built in college. But she was really ticked because he won, right? And here's the launch. 3, 2, 1, launch.
Are you going to also make a Stream Raiders match?
Oh, I can do that, yeah. She was really ticked, and so she decided she was going to really beat him next year. So sure enough, next year comes around, she's got an even better thing, and she's absolutely certain this is going to be the one that, wins, and I don't know what that one is either, but again, it's some fantastic thing that nobody's done, and she's got it all figured out. And she gets there, and he has created a closed-circuit television system that uses a different, rather than a television tube, like the old cameras used to, I think they used to excite, they used to have a tube inside, and they would receive light that would then get scanned from the scanning of the tube, and I don't know how it worked. But anyway, he had made a new way to make a camera that didn't use any of that technology that had never been done before. And he's in high school. And then transmitted it to a monitor that he'd set up that was probably wireless, but it may have been wired. So he won the science fair again. So then they started getting to know each other and dated and stuff. Well, when he was in college, I should back up. So when he was still a kid, back when modems were the kind that plug onto your phone, with the rubber cups and make all the noise. He used to hack back then too. And one night he was hacking, and probably in high school, I think, maybe in college, he was hacking into just different businesses, and he got into a bank, and then it was a national branch bank, and then he got into some government site from there, and then he got into the national, he's pretty sure it was a CIA national database of information. And you get into something like that, and you say, well, what do I look up? You look yourself up. So he said, I looked myself up, and I was horrified to find out how much they knew about me when I thought I was just nobody. And so I just kind of backed out, covered my tracks, and have never done anything like that again. He's always been a good boy since then. When he was at MIT, they got a assignment to design a means of communication between the Mariner Mars rover project, the Mariner probe, and the idea was to have the lander and then have little robotic soil sample gatherers that would drive out like little toy cars or trucks, and they would get rocks, or they would get whatever they could get, right? Maybe drill something or something like that. And they needed some way to communicate, and they didn't know if it was going to be dependable to use radio waves or not. And so you could do whatever, right? So he and his 3 friends designed, since he was into lasers and pulse coding data across lasers, they designed a laser guidance system that would communicate between the Mars lander and the rover and could guide it and communicate back and forth. And it had to work in any kind of weather or dust or snow or ice or whatever. And it did. It was basically unjammable. And he handed it in. They did a prototype of it on a circuit board with some lasers and stuff, and they could make it work. And they handed it in. They got their A's. And then 6 months later, it showed up in Vietnam as our new laser-guided missile system. And he was like, wait a minute. And they were, they were anti-war, and they felt horrible, and they felt like, well, this is just terrible. We're going to be responsible for people dying, and we have to do something about it. So and this was an unjammable system that gave American fighter jets a huge advantage. And so they figured out a way to jam it, and they made a prototype of that and documented it, and then they tried to get it to somebody in the Russian government. And they were really brilliant kids, but they were so stupid they didn't realize that if the place is crawling with CIA people gathering smart ideas last term, they're probably there spring term, right? And so it was intercepted, they were apprehended, and they were split up and interrogated for 6 months, he said. They were taken all over the country and interrogated different places until they were sure that they were just stupid college kids and weren't like real Russian, agents or something. And so was banned at that point from working on any military projects, which he was fine with because he didn't want to do military projects. But that's just kind of the thing. So I asked him, zoom back forward now. I asked him, so how long does it take you to hack into a system, any kind of system, whether it's a PC or a network or a government system or a government database? He said, well, I don't really call it hacking. I said, well, what do you call it? I said, I just call it going in. He said, what do you mean? I said, I just go in. So he doesn't really have any. He said, you can secure things, right, from people that don't know what they're doing, and you can secure things to the degree that it makes it difficult for those that do, so that it's not worth their effort. But at some point, there's people that know enough that nothing is secure and you can go into anything. So I worked with him for about 10 years. Crazy smart guy. And I couldn't keep up with him. I mean, I was supposed to do, the sales and support and design and documentation. So I'd write all the docs and stuff, hundreds of pages for different modules and feature sets and blah, blah, blah. And we were creating basically what had we been able to do it a little bit longer, would have turned into what WordPress is today. We were building the exact same kind of thing, where it was a user editable online editor that was a content management system with plugin modules you could add on and stuff like that. And I just couldn't keep up. I couldn't produce enough to keep up and do all the stuff. And then my parents got near the end of their life, and I ended up having to take care of them. And I just said, I can't do this anymore. And we had to. He kept working with the other people, but I just couldn't do it. And then he died about a year and a half, 2 years ago. But I didn't even know he died till his wife contacted me, because he doesn't reach out. We got together for lunch occasionally after. But it was just not.
Target acquired.
So it's also open on the Annihilator. All that Annihilator, hey JGX, all this Annihilator has is 2 heavy gals. That's it. No backup weapons, no nothing.
Ouch! I'm dying here. This thing actually, you have to dance a lot, but it's pretty stout, I guess. Ah. I was going to kill him, but he was in my way.
Yeah, that's Annihilator's basically done. Where is that?
Ouch. Somebody over here. Oh no. Ow.
Good day, sir.
Target destroyed.
Got 2 snipers up behind us. We have 2 snipers up behind us.
Fuel at 25%.
Dang it. Wait, did I get him? I don't think I got him. Oh wait, he overheated.
He and his wife used to have lasers here at the house when they lived here. They had a really small kitchen, and they went outside one time and they had their nephew over. And they gave him a laser to play with. It was safe for your eyes, or maybe they gave him glasses, I'm not sure. But he was in the kitchen, or he'd gone into the kitchen, and they were outside working in their garden, and they came back in, and the kid had taken a bunch of aluminum foil and made little mirrors out of it and bounced lasers all over back and around the kitchen, back and forth all over the place. And in order to see where the lasers were going, he had opened a thing of flour and was tossing flour in the air, so the whole kitchen was covered with white powdered flour. And they used to take lasers, and across the street down 2 houses there was a guy that had a cat that would sit on his TV when he was watching TV because it was warm. But he had kind of a translucent, fine fabric curtain over this big window behind the TV. And when he would turn on the TV and the cat would start climb up there, they would grab their laser and they would aim it across the street onto the curtain of this guy's house. And they'd start moving that laser dot around, and the cat would start to, see it and pay attention. And pretty soon it'd just jump up onto the curtain and climb all the way to the ceiling, try to get this thing. And the guy would get all angry. He'd grab the cat and get it off the curtain and kind of throw it to the side, and he would not know what's going on. And they, sure enough, after he'd gotten another 5-10 minutes, they'd do it again. That was their entertainment, I guess.
That's just being mean.
I'm not saying I'm endorsing it. I'm saying it's pretty funny.
But how is it funny? It's just mean.
Mean to the guy? It is. It's mean. You're right. It's mean to the cat.
No, mean to the cat.
Well, they weren't mean to the cat. The cat loved it. The guy didn't hurt the cat.
But he threw him to
you
the
can
side.
throw you
That's
can
what
throw
he
a
said.
cat a long ways and they don't care. They land on their feet. You could throw them 20 feet in the air and they wouldn't have a problem. I don't recommend you do that, but you can do it. I've seen cats jump off of 30
Just
foot
wait until Crimson
telephone
gets
poles.
here, and then he'll
and land and run away,
Stop
no
talking.
problem. I have a friend that used to take their cat and they'd turn him upside down and then they'd drop him from, chest height, and they would always flip over and land on its feet. They thought it was funny. I don't do that to animals, but it's kind of remarkable how well their tail and their balance works to right themselves.
Target acquired.
Dad, Doc, take him down.
Can't get there in time.
Critical damage.
Take him down, Doc. Take him down. Show
Yeah,
them that you're a streamer.
they got me.
Oh, you didn't show them.
I did not. I showed them I was cannon fodder.
No, you showed them that you're you showed them that you're Blood Marauder, the streamer.
We need more people in the game,
no,
by the way. In the stream
Oh
raiders.
yeah, there's not enough people.
There's only
I'm
three
die.
people in here.
Command to ground forces. We're detecting no more
I am
hostiles.
going to die.
Good job.
280 damage, not terrible, not great. Hey, Jay-Z.
Hey, Doc, you haven't placed your dude down yet.
Oh, so I'm holding up everything? I'm sorry.
You should place down Archer. That's the
All right, hang
green
on.
guy.
Mm.
And
So you're
place
saying?
Place it over where we
That's
are.
where you guys are. I was going to ask
Did
you.
7.
Hey,
We were
it's not
talking the other
fishy.
night. Last night, as a matter of fact, somebody was asking how many
I got 700.
How many points should you try to say I've done in damage to feel like you've done your part on a team? It used to be like 250 points of damage was what everybody tried to at least get. And then I thought it was bumped up like 300 was what's considered your weight in, work. Is there a measure of that that's at all helpful, or is it just doesn't really matter?
No, that's helpful? No. There are measures, yes, but are they helpful? Probably
Okay.
not. To be honest with you, like, the way I see it is this, what's your contribution to the match? Now, for the most part, the most valuable thing is actually doing damage and killing stuff. Like, so that legitimately is one. I'd say, like, look at your damage taken on average, and pretty much try to do more than that.
Oh,
So-
whatever your
Turning down-
damage taken, you should at least do more than that.
So the average assault will take about 700 points of
Yeah,
damage.
if they're doing a good job of
The average heavy will
sharing
take
their
about 500 or so, 500 to
What about
550. Mediums probably about 400 to 500. But to be honest, though, I would say that it also kind of plays into the, like, lights should overshoot that value, and assaults can sometimes undershoot that value. Because for lights, it's super easy to do more damage than you take.
Yeah.
Like,
And it
but in
doesn't
assault,
necessarily
it's
matter
actually quite
if you
difficult to do as
got
much as
a lot
that.
of damage if you got 4 kills either.
Yeah,
Because
somewhat.
you
Yeah,
still
and pretty
got
much,
some kills.
like, for example, on average, if we use averages, assaults will do more damage on average. Lights will have more kills per unit damage on average. So, like, the average damage per kill for an assault, it will be something like 300 plus. For a light, it might be like 150.
To do a kill,
All right?
just because they can get you in the back.
Yeah, per kill. Well, yeah, and also they can finish off hurt targets, because they say that an assault, like, happens
Yeah.
all the time. Assault shoots a target until they're like at 40% health, crit open
Right.
everywhere, and like runs around and just finishes it off. Because when you're getting shot by an assault, you back away. But a light can chase you down, but you can't back away. So you can always outrun an assault, but you can't always outrun a light jumping
Right.
on you. So most of the time you get finished off will be by something faster, more often than by something bigger. Yeah. So on average, you end up with a situation of, so like if you ask any helpful markers, not really. Honestly, do as much as you possibly can while being
Yeah.
alive is the way to go. So for me personally, I like to look at getting a match score of 400 plus.
Sure.
That's what I think. If I do below 400 match score, I feel like I haven't done enough. But that's just my personal view.
But you're a
that's for
tier
me,
1
though, that's
pilot.
not-
For a
that's
new
for me.
pilot, they should feel
Yes.
pretty good about getting 300 or more, shouldn't they? If they're still kind of getting better.
For a new
Yeah.
pilot, if you can just
Stay alive.
constantly think of, well, if you can do 200 damage and kill
Yeah.
one thing, That's great. But 200 damage from 1 kill is pretty much all anyone expects from a new player. In fact, for new players, do whatever you find fun.
Say that last part again.
Just do whatever you like and have fun, really.
Yeah. Fishy, are you going to ready up? Because we're like sitting here waiting for you.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Okay, I'm way behind on chat because I've been yakking so much. Yeah, they weren't cathode ray tubes though. Whatever he made, he used something different. It was a way to make a television camera capture an image differently than was currently being done. Coding used to be called hacking, 50? I've never heard that. And I've been around computer guys and geeks for, since I was 20? 21?
We're going dark.
20? So 40 years. But, I mean, 3, 2, 1, launch. He was around. He got started when there was punch cards, right? You'd punch your code into cards and then feed those in a card deck into the mainframe. And then I remember he made a graphics computer. At the time, you guys probably, unless you're old, you'll never have heard of some of these computers.
Animation cells. Whoa.
It was Tektronix. They did graphics workstations that could do 3D graphics and stuff. But we're talking basically 2-color at first, with hash marks for shading. And then they had color versions. Well, they would cost $60,000 or $50,000 per seat for each one of these things. And he and a couple other guys made a Z80 base, which is an 8-bit CPU. Might have been a 180. No, it was a Z80. And it had 8-inch floppies on it, which the Tektronix ones didn't have. They would interface to a mainframe to pull things down and stuff like that. And he could do that also. But they took it, they made like 2 or 3 of them. They brought them up to Portland, where Tektronix was based, and they did a dog and pony show to sell these graphics workstations, and they were going to sell them for $5,000 a piece. And they blew the doors off these $50,000, $60,000 workstations. And so the people were like, okay,
here we go again.
We'll take 500 of them. And they were like, oh. And it put them out of business. They couldn't do it. So we can't make 5,000 of them, 500 of them. We can't make 50 of them yet. What I was going to tell you about the casino thing, the identity tracking and capturing. So they did a test, and somebody at the FBI said, "Well, we're interested in this. Can you do this test so that we're involved?" And they said, "Yeah."
Yes.
So there was this big political thing coming in, and they knew there was going to be a couple thousand, 3,000 or 4,000, 5,000 people there, because it was a statewide thing. And they set up 3 cameras, one outside the building, one in the lobby, and one in the parking garage entrance outside the front of the building. And then the FBI provided a T3? No. They provided them is it an OC1 or something? It's a fiber optic super high. This has been 10 years now. I don't really know my internet connections level. Super high next gen internet, whatever that's called, the new super internet that why can't I get back to my screen? Where's my cursor? I'm stuck here. Great.
We have gained Epsilon.
I'm stuck.
Resource point Beta is
Game's going. That's going.
We've captured resource.
Yep, I'm stuck here. Resume game. Game settings. We can go there. Okay. Cancel. Resume game. There we go. Yeehaw. And their hope was that they could find. They give them a list of photographs of 110 people to try to identify, hoping they could get most of them. They had everybody identified within a half a second of
Mr.
reaching
Atlas,
any of the
I think
cameras.
you want to use me as cover.
And so now his systems are installed in, well, it's his nephew's system, but Fred designed them all, are installed in a whole bunch of airports and in casinos. And if you go into the casino, they have put 3 cameras in a casino inside, and they can cover the entire casino. And they know who you are before you're even through the glass door.
Data is controlled by the enemy.
And they put one at the intersection. I think it's either Three Rivers or Seven Feathers Casino. I'm not sure which one. Wow, getting lurmed to death already.
Warning, incoming missile.
Let me get some cover over here. And they know, they can tell people who come onto the reservation, because there's no laws to keep them from doing this on the reservation. As soon as they get to the stoplight at the reservation, they know who they are. It's crazy.
He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good.
Exactly.
So be good for goodness sake.
I am not in a good spot.
We have Gamma. The enemy is at 25%. We've already gained a quarter of the resources. Keep it up.
Ah, hit the lip. So anyway, super interesting guy to know.
Alright, that really loud sound coming through my mic.
I heard something coming through your mic.
It's a drop saw.
A what?
It's like a drop saw for timber.
A drop saw. I don't know what a drop saw is. Like a chainsaw?
It's like a big... No, it's a circular saw that... Yeah. Oh, man.
Be careful, Corsair. There's a lot of them at G7.
At 25%. Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Eat it, Atlas. I tried.
Come on, you can make it.
Fuel at 25%.
Oh, didn't make it.
Fuel at 0%.
Uh-oh.
Fuel at 25%.
Halfway to victory. We need to keep holding on to our resources.
Oh, okay. Oh, he got me. Got me. At least I fired at him. I got a kill that time. Didn't do my 400 damage like I was instructed to do.
Hostiles have collected 50% of their resources. Capture resource points from them to stop the bleeding.
I mean, if you're looking for a crude measurement, match score and damage are pretty good ones. Like, match score is probably the best one, to be honest with you. Because it kind of covers a few things, and but yeah.
Confirming that we have possession of Kappa.
I mean, for the most part, you know when you've done well, you know when you stuffed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm intimately aware of when I don't do well. I'm really experienced in that.
So if you don't feel that, you probably did all right then.
I don't feel terrible and like garbage inside. I must have done okay. Well, horrible human. Oh, maybe I'm not. this guy? Oh, he's down to nothing. Don't stay there then, buddy.
Center torso, critical damage.
I'm not sure what his strategy was. Why didn't he go get some cover? Maybe he couldn't back up fast enough. The cat wasn't protecting his home. 1K or you're useless is what Valen says. Valen, get over here and show us how that works.
There you go.
Well, when he gets in his Lerm boat, he seems to do 1,000 per match pretty frequently.
I'm gonna go get Kappa.
Resource point Beta is ours.
Flanking and distracting enemy can turn the tables in battle. Yeah, there's lots of things that count for making you win. That's true. Battle's almost ready. Get all your pieces on.
Camping it.
Target acquired.
Some of these are a little before my time. Yeah, the old 8-inch floppies, most of you guys have probably never seen those or heard of them, but they're great big, think of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
Yeah, the big ones.
They're like almost as big as a full sheet of paper. And they would store 128K of data on them. 128K. And then they had 5 1/4s that would store 360, I think, when the IBM PC came out.
356.
Something like that, yeah. Well, 356 formatted. They were 360K drives. And then there was the 7 1/4 inch floppies that would do 720 or 1 meg, which was 1024, then not formatted. The formatted was slightly less than that. I remember my first, the hard drives that I used to sell at a computer store when I worked at a salesman at a computer store. The IBM hard drive was 5 megabytes, and it was $10,000.
We went on point, but you got it
for 5 megs.
They're almost there. Stop them at all costs.
Wow.
It was just crazy.
That's impressive.
And I remember the disk packs for Hewlett Packard. I didn't sell Hewlett Packard mini computers, but my brother-in-law worked on them. And they had disk packs that were 5 meg platters that were 20-inch platters.
I remember my first USB stick being a 256 meg, and it was like, oh, snapsicles.
Yep.
My parents were like, look after this. This is when I started high school.
It was $500.
Look after this. Oh, it wasn't that much. It was like $50, but still for a high school student at the time. Yeah. My engineering supervisor on my placement job, he said when he started, he needed to get government permission for 56K words of memory.
Wow.
Whatever that was, something like that. Because he started in the 70s or something.
Well, yeah, I used to sell CompuPro. Well, I sold Televideo Z80 based multi-user systems. RAM. One of them would have, you could put 3 terminals on this one machine that had its own screen. So you could have 4 users. It had 256 megs of, 256K of memory. And you could each, then you could hook up the 3 terminals. Each would get dedicated 32 or 64K of memory. And then it would run who made it? Digital CPM. It was MPM, which is multi-user computer operating system, and it was similar in performance and stuff you could do on it accounting-wise and stuff like that to a $100,000 machine, and you could get it for $20,000, right? With the terminal. So we'd sell them into auto stores or auto part stores or wherever, and then we would sell a CompuPro system which could have 16 or even 32 terminals, and it had a 286, I think, in it, and it had it was MPM also, and it probably had, I'm guessing it had around 256 memory for working memory, and the OS took 8K back then, right? And you'd have to swap in modules if you're doing something that was complicated, and I remember the guy buying a RAM drive to go into that thing. An S100 bus is about the size of a big graphics card now, only just one slot, and the whole bus was 100 pins instead of the Isabus or what stuff we have now. And you would put that baby in, and you would turn the case around so it blocked all the vent holes, and you put it on a torture test so the hard drive was working all the time, and it was running memory tests all the time, and you'd run it for 48 hours before you could sell it to the customer. And if something died, they would FedEx you a new part. Or in the case of one customer where we had that happen, they FedExed us a whole new system so the customer could be delivered on time. It's crazy. So, amazing support.
Yeah, you had to do the burn-in.
Yeah, and it was a torture test burn-in. And then that RAM drive was 512K of memory, and it was $5,000.
You mentioned DEC.
Yeah, DEC.
Digital Equipment Corporation.
Yeah, I use a DEC 10 Alpha.
I learned
Fortran on one.
On a VAX? Were those minis or mainframes?
Yeah, VAX 11780.
Mainframe. Yeah.
Super
amazing.
So I did learn a Fortran on a DEC 10 Alpha.
Oh my gosh. Hit battle time.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm only 30 years old.
Starting the battle.
Well,
go.
We're readied up. We lost somebody. This will probably be my last drop, actually. It's 1 o'clock.
Story time with Dark Marauder.
Dark Marauder story time. What else was really interesting about all that stuff?
Hey, Crimson, do you need an invite?
I think my first hard drive was a SCSI interface, and it was an 80 meg hard drive, and it was like $600 or something, $800. And I was like, ooh, I have so much room. Now I have 15 terabytes hooked up to my computer for video and photo storage for work. It's crazy. Ran some winners.
So whereabouts in the tech industry career did you become a youth pastor? Like, how did that transition?
I was a youth pastor all the way through. I worked.
Oh, cool.
I worked part or full time doing support for companies, like either on staff or I'd come in and do stuff individually for whoever needed it. And
so IT stuff was your 10 making.
It really was, and I never programmed, and I don't want to. It was like it just hurts my brain. I don't really. I mean, I did HTML and CSS coding and stuff, and I certainly was able to do that, but I hated it. And the reason I hated it wasn't so much just doing it; it was the fact that the standards changed every 6 months, and you had to code your interfaces and stuff out 2 years in advance. So Fred would send me, okay, these are the changes we have to make everything compatible with. And I said, well, when will those be out? 2 years. And we had to go 2 years back compatibility. So our websites and plugins and all the interfaces for them all had to work future and back 2 years in either direction. And it changed every 6 months. You'd have to go back and update the future stuff and update the history stuff. And it was just constant treadmill of tweaking and fixing and tweaking and fixing. And it wasn't because we broke something. It was because the standards were always moving. It's always a moving target. And it's got to be a nightmare for coders, programmers to write like that all the time, but they do it and they love it. I'm not cut out for that. I much would rather create something that's visual or audio or something like that.
Stays there.
What's that?
And it stays there. And it's like, that works.
Yeah, it's
still.
done.
Yay.
Yeah, it works. So I got to a place where I thought, I just don't want to do this anymore. And then with all the other things. But there was a couple of years where I pastored full-time, and then the rest of the time I pastored part-time, either on a part-time salary or sometimes volunteer while I would work. And it was always a moving target, but I youth pastored, and sometimes it was associate and youth and worship leading. Almost always it was youth and worship leading for the congregation and stuff. My wife is a great piano player, so she would co-lead or lead, or I would lead and she would play or whatever. But I did that for 35 years. And of course you get no money almost, even when you're on staff. Like, we made hardly any money, even full time. It was ridiculous. But you don't do it for the money. You do it because you want to help kids. And so we did.
There you go.
This is gonna be my last drop.
I have one.
That's late.
Well, I won't say that. I'm going to pass on that. I was going to tell another story. I'm going to skip that story. What did you say, Corsair? You're taking off after this too?
Yeah, it's my last
All
drop. That story of yours brought back a lot of
Oh,
memories.
I'll bet it did.
That's funny.
More than I have, I'm sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was working in a Navy computer room in
What's the
89,
What's the
90?
language that they develop on in the military? It's not C++. It was something else, or it used to be. They had their own language for a lot of stuff. Do you remember? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The only one we were using was DCL. It was digital command
I'm
language.
thinking of something else then.
That was for the VAXs. But we had Wang super mini computers. We had a Univac 1100 Alpha. We had an 1100C.
See, that's all bigger stuff than I ever worked on. I think.
Tandem.
Go ahead.
We had Tandem mainframes. We had IBM mainframes, all in one computer room.
It just boggles me that Fred could sit there and think that clearly and succinctly for 48 hours to design a full 32-bit computer chip CPU in his head and then draw it all out. And I think he got $60,000 for it. And then he did it in, a few days.
Wow.
Of course, they made far more than that in, selling it, of course.
Oh, sure. And he didn't get any
I think it was the
residual out of it.
32032 AT&T chip.
Oh.
Crazy. I wrote my first BASIC program on the high school mainframe through a teletype terminal upstairs above the math room area. And it was a little basic program. It was probably 30 lines, if that. And you had to type it all in, and it was to calculate the hull speed of a sailboat or a boat based on its water line. Really simple. And you'd type it in, you'd hit run and hit enter, type run and hit enter, and then it would spit out the answer based on the input you'd given it above that. And that's all it did. And if you screwed up, you had to type the whole dumb thing over again. It's ridiculous. And then my mom brought a Commodore PET home from her school. She was a elementary school teacher, and they had one. And it had a cassette tape to look. They didn't have the floppy drives on it because it cost too much.
The 1541 streaming tape drive.
It was like a cassette tape.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a tape cartridge or a streaming tape drive. It was a regular audio cassette drive.
Cassette. Yeah.
And then you could download a program into the computer from that cassette tape. Hellbringer, I'm not going to do another battle because this is my last drop. I'm sorry. Terribly sorry. And so you could run some programs on it. I thought that's really cool, and you could do cool stuff. And then I went to work at a computer store after I got out. Well, maybe I was still in college, actually. Yes. And I sold Commodore 64s. And they hired me at the place that we bought the Commodore 64 because I seem to have an affinity for at least understanding them and communicating about them. And and then that company had Fred come in and train us about the stuff. And Fred was one of those rare people who's super smart but can dumb anything down so you can get it, right? So he could take an analogy and you'd come away with an actual usable analogy that you could use to troubleshoot or know where, so if something goes wrong with a computer, even today, even though I'm hopelessly out of date, it seems like the last time I bought hardware was helping Jessica with her machine a year ago. So I'm not terrible, I guess, but my machine's 8 years old. So that was when I was looking at tech gear again. And because I've stopped doing systems for people or anything. And if something goes wrong, I just have a really good foundation of understanding what's going on, so I know where to look and what things to check, and how to troubleshoot the hardware or the software pretty darn well. And typically when I call tech support, I always call tech support because I don't want to waste too much time. But then it feels like I'm wasting so much time because I have to tell them what's wrong, tell them what I think's wrong, and want to know the fastest way to change, like the driver's not working for this or this, and I think it's this. And then they'll say, well, do this. And I said, I've already done that. Do this. I've already done that. Do this and this. I've already done that. Can you escalate me? And then they say, well, can you do this and this? I said, I've already done that. Then they say, okay, I'll escalate you. Then I start over again with that level of tech, and I say, I've done this, and this. These are the symptoms. This is what I think's wrong. Can you verify that and give me a fix? Well, can you try this? I said, I already did that too. Can you escalate me? And so then I get bumped up to tier 3, and then I go through the whole thing again. And then he says, oh yeah, okay, hang on, let me check something. Yes, that's the problem. And no, we don't have a fix yet, but there is a workaround that you can use temporarily, and it's such and such, right? So that happens probably 80% of the time when I make a tech call. Is I'm close. I don't know.
Well, it's quite funny.
Know the current answer, and they don't either. And you have to get escalated up enough so that you're talking to somebody who actually understands what's going on the hardware level and the driver level, and can really help you. What were you saying?
I was going to say it's quite funny. Oh, it's quite funny that something similar actually happened today at work like that. So I do a 3D laser scanning. So I'm a mechanical engineer, physicist, and that. I do a lot of laser stuff too. And we had issues with one of our scanners just not importing properly. And the two laser scanning experts, I guess, they're people that sell the equipment for Australia. We have each other's numbers in our mobiles. So I sent them an email saying, look, I've done this. Dot point, and it's like 12 dot points long of trying. I've tried 3 different computers, 3 different USBs.
You've isolated it down to the subcomponent on the
different firmware. This is everything. I tried doing import this setting, that setting. I turned off. These ones turned off. These ones turned off. Did an extra scan in the office to check this one. New project to want to do an old project, all that. And so tomorrow I should get an answer. So that's the thing, trying to waste their time because, if they're national experts in the field, then national experts,
they should know.
But also don't waste their time. Like, by valuing their time, they often actually respond really quickly to me, like, which is great, which is what kind of we need though sometimes. So I get on with them quite well. I've actually, seen them at different things and trade shows and that,
and sometimes you get somebody who's exceptionally good, right? And it's like, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, if I can be used, not be a hindrance, but also we push the equipment to, really hard anyway. And so, there's things that we'll find or we'll see, and they're like, hey, did you know that this happens when you do this? And I'm like, wait, what are you trying to do? I'm like, we're doing this. Right, that's pretty out there. And so
we're trying to make a black hole. Oh, okay.
Well,
we're trying to stop matter and freeze it down to like a millionth of a degree above absolute zero.
Not quite, but there are sometimes. So
that's cool.
Certainly keeps it interesting. But Charlie, look, I've never done any IT thing. I build all the computers. I actually build all of our work's computers. So I build the hardware for our work.
So
that's fun.
And I enjoy doing that. And I enjoy picking out hardware that's going to perform really well. And I like higher performance because I do video editing and music editing. So I want actually high throughput kinds of systems.
Yeah. Like last year, start of last year, I got an i9, got 64 gigs of RAM, 3070, M2 SSD. So nice.
I can hardly wait till I can get an M.2 on my SSDs. I've got the older gen Evos that are 400 megabit per second throughput, and they're great, but they're not like that M.2s that are 5 times faster.
It's not 7,000. No.
Yeah, 5 or 20 times faster. Some of them are really fast.
Yeah, I've got a 980 Pro.
Yeah, when I'm trying to, I'll probably upgrade next year when the 480 prices start coming down. And people will say, well, you don't need a 480 dark. And I'm saying, yeah, I do, because my rendering times sometimes are 18 hours because I'm doing music videos or choral videos that have 64 video streams in them.
Target destroyed.
And I want them to be 3 hours or something instead of 18. All right.
Target acquired. Right column critical damage.
Target spotted.
Right column destroyed.
Gosh, I didn't get that guy.
Center torso critical damage. PPC destroyed. LB-10 destroyed. Fuel at
All right, I'm down to one
25%.
snub nose again. That's not good.
Target spotted.
I don't like when they hurt me and I can't
25%.
kill things anymore.
Need assistance. We've almost got them all.
Fuel
Clean up
at
the
25%.
survivors.
Oh, come on.
Fuel at 0%.
Am I legged? No, not legged. All right, let's go up here. Come on, little mech.
Fuel at 25%.
Something's wrong.
Target spotted. Need assistance. Target spotted. We've lost half our force. We can't lose any more soldiers.
I missed him. Shot right over his head because he's so short. It's hard to hit, too. There's that.
Target spotted.
Oh, I went down thinking he was going to be down here still. I think I'm getting a little fever again. Not as bad as last night, fortunately.
Target spotted. Command to ground forces. We're detecting no
Okay.
hostiles.
Okay.
Making helium gas into liquid. Ooh. With lasers, just cooling
I'm
it down.
pretty much battered.
I finally, the whole tech support story is typified by the fact that Jessica's laptop, her new Dell that she got before when she started college, was having troubles and it was nearing end of warranty. She had the extended warranty on it. And I just kept escalating and was up with the engineering team and said, look, guys, we've done all these things. None of them are working. You have a heat thermal problem with your chipset on this motherboard. I'm not the only person that has it. I've sent you links to other people that have it. You have not solved it. You haven't even figured out what it is yet. The end of life is coming on the warranty. It's unworkable, unusable. You need to replace it. And they're like, oh, well, just let us try this one more thing. And if we can't, do it, then we'll go to another route. I said, well, I've done that thing 3 times now. It's not going to help. And so sure enough, we do it again. It's, oh, gee, it doesn't help. Okay, what are you going to do? Well, I said, fine, I'm done with you guys. So I sent a letter to Michael Dell's office, to Attention Michael Dell, and gave him copies of all of the support correspondence and said, please help my daughter who spent $3,000 on a laptop that she was going to use to make music videos with as her, job and career. And now it's basically worthless. And I got a call the next day from the advanced customer satisfaction team. And the guy said, how about I send you, I don't have any of those older models. It's 3 years old now, but I do have a current model that's got a faster CPU, twice as much memory, a faster graphics card, twice as much SSD, twice as much, nearly double the RAM speed on the system RAM, and a whole bunch of other, features. And If you're okay with that, I'll send that out FedEx tomorrow. I said, okay. And they sent her a brand new laptop. Current model, decked out with higher end specs. But it took showing all of their tech people that they couldn't figure it out. And I had to prove to them they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't come to that realization on their own. It was just really dumb.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for the drops. Kodo, thanks for the drops. Crimson Eye, howdy.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call it quits for tonight too. Everybody in stream 50, and I think Hellbringer's been lurking around in here. Valen's here, and Thundercats, and Drax, and Sargorth, howdy. I didn't even say hello. Sorry about that. Fishy Ghost was here. Drax was here. I got Drax. So everybody, all the everybody's. Thanks so much. See you guys tomorrow night. This has been Ghostlands, your favorite place to waste the most important moments of your life. Night, guys.